Welcome to the Kai Greene Effect.
Happy birthday, America.
You ever sang a national anthem?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every kid growing up in the public school system here in the United States has had the opportunity to do that as an opening address every morning, possibly with assemblies, as a standard practice, at least when I was a kid in school.
Nice.
Um, but to say like I've done it professionally somewhere, nah,
You
not
sh
yet.
you should, man. You have the music out right now that I heard. You dropped a song right recently, like a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a
Yeah,
week ago.
actually, I dropped a whole. Well, so here it is. Ki Afro King as Ki Afro King, which is like this my music persona.
Nice.
Your boy is definitely uh dropped the technically a whole album. I believe it's like about 13, 14 songs we released under the Ki Afro King persona, and
Congratulations. That's big, man. That's
hey,
big
thank you for
news.
even saying that. Yeah, available on Spotify right now. We're doing like I'm exploring a whole other realm of opportunity.
I saw the video that you filmed it live and then you edited some of it with the addition of like kind of animation, right? So it's a combination of
Yeah,
both
yeah,
live and
yes.
and and talk about that, man. That's cool.
So K Afro King is technically a project that is it's like a an address or homage to my living art. So Ki Afro King is technically is a real character that is a part of my business entity called Dynamic Muscle Company Comics, and he's like an intellectual property that has his own title, and he has one foot in actual real life as he records music and has it available on Spotify, and another foot or the other foot um, involved in storytelling comic book unfoldment.
And he has
He's a
two,
part of my
and he
own
has two women
multiverse.
with him, right? The two co-singers, right? The two women they play
Yeah,
music.
he's got two co-singers with him. Their group is he's got so Ki Afro King is accompanied by Afro Canna and Afro Kane. Have you ever been exposed to like what is it, Boney M? They were hugely successful. Though a lot of direct attention to the behind the scenes stuff related to the group and the music, I did not know until recently. They've had like a bunch of like really popular hits that did exceedingly well on the music charts, on the international music charts back in the 70s. And I had no clue about all of the interesting colors that went into.
Yes.
There was a music producer that was this German guy that understood that he would not be able to be
Hmm.
seen um, doing the music that he wanted to do. It was like this kind of disco, colorful stuff that was like I don't want to say it had a lot of different influences that I think were doing very well on the disco circuit back in the 70s. Now, you know, back then when I was a kid, obviously I wouldn't have even known enough to be as versed to tell you as I can now. And it's only recently that I really just discovered this group and saw how this producer was very um, creative in the fact that he created a group that had the right look to be able to perform in the places that his look would not allow him to.
Exactly.
So, um,
But you know what's
yeah,
interesting? You know what's interesting about that story? Actually, it's a really cool story. But that same producer made a band later, or a group rather, called Milli Vanilli.
That's right. Yeah.
He found these two guys, right, from Europe also, and then he didn't like their voices, so he just basically had somebody else do the music for them, and then it became super popular. A million people can Google that, Milli Vanilli, right? And then
Yes.
one day,
Yes.
the record skipped on the stage, and the
During a live, during a performance.
performance,
Yes.
yeah, and it
Yep.
kind of ruined their career afterwards. But you know, it's interesting. I think today nobody would even care that much because people. I mean, you know what I mean? These days, it's
Yeah.
like back then it destroyed their career.
Yeah,
It's
but I mean,
crazy.
we live in a day and age now where things that would have been, career ending, even politically, would have been
Yeah.
that are now, you're able to start a career, in infamy almost, and become a wonderful success for the things that probably 30 years ago would have been like a death sentence. Um,
That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is the whole publicity thing, right? One of the topics today is, I want to get your opinion on Liver King. Are you familiar with Liver King? Are you a fan?
Off and on, I mean, it's almost. Give me a brief on that real quick. I understand that he's gone through some trouble recently.
So Liver
Um,
King, originally he became widely popular, right, as this guy who was promoting a lifestyle, eating raw meat.
yeah.
I guess he was selling supplements or something like that. He
Hmm.
claimed to be fully natural. Then later on, he got exposed by More Plates, More Dates vlogger, revealing his steroid cycle. And then he came out, said, "Yeah, I'm on steroids, blah blah blah." Allegedly he was using a lot of it. And then he said he quit the steroids. And then he lost a lot of weight or whatever. But he remained in the kind of like on and off on the news. You know what I mean? But now recently he popped up. I don't know. He had they made, I guess, like a mini doc on Netflix. I guess the documentary wasn't very, like, nice to him, I would say, even though he was
Mm.
willingly participating in it. He came out, kind of trashing the documentary because I guess it exposed a lot of things about him that wasn't that great. But the biggest thing is he suddenly got arrested in Texas. I guess he wanted to go and fight Joe Rogan. So
Oh,
he got a
okay.
flight to what is it, Austin, Texas, and he got arrested by the cops. And I think Joe Rogan filed a restraining order against him. It's like some weird, bizarre story. And he's been
Mm.
posting these weird videos, and they're going viral, of course, because he just does very obnoxious things. But what do you think about it? I mean, my thing is like, is it better to have bad publicity than no publicity these days? You know what I
You
mean?
know what? I think it can almost depend on what your desired outcome is and why. I think, publicity to some extent, believe it or not, people pay for that. You know,
Oh yeah,
Companies invest a lot of money, upwards of multiple millions of dollars a year, in an effort to, get eyes on their product, you know, um, and to at least, try to influence people's awareness of the fact that their product exists. So publicity, 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 sometimes even bad publicity, is good, you know, in that it brings the attention to, your brand, or brings attention to the
right,
thing that you want to promote.
exactly.
Um, is it always, is it, I mean, I think the thing that probably would determine whether it's good or bad, I don't know, depends on, yeah, there are times when bad publicity is good publicity. It's because it makes people, take notice and pay attention. And right now, you have like just so many things today that is like just grabbing at people's attention. It can be very, very hard to stand out, in the lineup of so many things that looking to, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. Sometimes I think the bad publicity, is just, the right opportunity, depending on how you work it or how you're willing to see it. So,
I don't know. Everybody always trashes this guy, Liver King, but he stay. His name remains in the public eye. Whether or not, I don't know. He's probably monetizing it. He's selling stuff. Everybody's selling something, right? So I'm sure he's selling something. Like when that whole steroid thing broke out, right? When he got accused of being unnatural,
Mhm.
uh, I think that week, so every single vlogger, every single YouTuber made a video about it, and through that, he generated like something like 100 million impressions in 1 week.
That's
It's all
amazing.
negative.
That's
It's
awesome.
all negative, but like still 100 million impressions in 1 week. It's just his name being mentioned. I mean, but then let me like I guess somebody became more of his fans. You know what I mean? And actually liked him because of that scandal. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure, you can turn things around. Sometimes you really just need to, get your foot in the door in the first place, to even start the magic to happen. Um, yeah. Bad publicity can be publicity. Publicity is always, it can be what you make it. Um, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's bad publicity as much as it can be, what you're willing to do with it, or, how cleverly you can spin it, you know. But if no one is noticing you at all, I mean, that can, that can be like the harder thing that you don't want.
Yeah,
I
that's probably the worst if you want to be an influencer.
yeah, I'll say.
So Kai, what's happening in Ronnie Coleman, man? I'm sure you've heard the news. It's been already like over a week since the news broke that he's in a critical condition. What's going on, man? What do you know about this whole thing?
So I got a chance to first take notice of it, while just reading a prayer that was posted by Lee Haney, I think. Um, I look up to Lee Haney a lot, and I just can recall coming across a prayer that he had posted recently, and in that he was asking, for blessings, to be shared with Ronnie Coleman and his family. And I remember thinking, oh shit, man, I'm just be very honest. There are times when it's like, um, it is very, very sobering, to, witness or experience the first 30 seconds of, hey, something's happening in the life of one of the stars of our sport, and it doesn't look good, and it's like, oh man. So there's a part of me that almost tries to brace myself and almost really just question whether or not I even want to hear any further. You know what I mean? Like, that moment of being able to say, well, do I want to tune out? Let me tune out now, because I don't think I'm going to be comfortable with hearing everything else that's going to be said after that. But it turns out it was a prayer, it was an uplifting prayer, and it encouraged me to think like, okay, there's something up on the front that the family and Ronnie Coleman is dealing with. I don't think all of the information about that was available, beyond a medical emergency that was a health scare. But, from what I gathered from it, it was like, okay, he was getting the best help, he was okay. And hey, man, if there's time for prayers and wishes and, vested in the right place for the right things for this family, then now's the time to do that. And I felt like, okay, that's what's up. Okay. So after that, I just expected, it's one of those things where we've seen before, where there's just, um, damn, he's probably, dealing again with some of the surgeries that he's had. I think some of the challenges that he's dealt with his career is not a secret. Um, and it's just certainly been a lot to endure. But he's a giant amongst men, and I just would expect that it's just some difficulties that are going to be eventually overcome, and to just go back to normal. um and that's kind of really all I really saw in my exposure to that.
Right. It's
So
because it's been at this point, by the time this airs, like almost 2 weeks, right? So as of right now, there's no new information, right? That you know.
I didn't. I haven't heard anything other than he was stable. He was okay. Um, with the expectation that he's just going to pull through that.
Hmm.
I this experience is something I think because we do have a community. Um, our sport, the athletes that we've gotten a chance to see on the stage. At the root of our sport and experience, there is still supposed to be the idea of health and goodness and the ability to masterfully control you know the different stages of your life, and the process of living more abundantly. So
Do you think, from what you've noticed like this is not in relation to Ronnie Coleman, right? But just in general, do you feel like bodybuilders are the immunity, right? Just in general, like, do you think the immune system, as you grow older and progress, do you think bodybuilders are prone to having immune issues, just getting sick and, like, you know what I mean, like regular stuff? Or do you feel like actually the bodybuilding lifestyle makes you immunity better? You know what I mean? As you grow up, you know.
I've always believed that I was better. I was made better by my ambition and my ability to want to train and inspire, um, to work on developing myself for the better. Going to the gym, subscribing to the lifestyle, eating in a disciplined way, approaching my day with the structure necessary to make the improvements within my physique, my career, and just the overall, living my life in a controlled way. I feel like I'm always made better by the influence and experience of what my sport, what training, what this disciplined lifestyle means to me.
That's interesting, actually, because
Mm.
there's always going to be, no matter what. I feel like bodybuilding is one of those things, like, no matter what, just like other professional sports don't get that stigma always, you know. Like, even look at the probably car racing is one of the most dangerous sports, but nobody ever, like, talks about negative.
Yeah,
So you can,
it's
you
so
know what I mean?
negative. Oh my God, you could die. Like,
Yeah,
oh, come on.
literally. You feel like a lot of the bodybuilders, they have this pressure to, especially when they age, right, to maintain the muscle mass, because that's what the fans and, I guess, the people in general, that's the expectation, the look. You know what I mean? That can be probably dangerous, right? Because the heart and everything else, like, you have to kind of slow down eventually. Do you think bodybuilders feel that pressure, the appearance?
I think so. I think that is a very real thing. That is a very real observation. I think one of the um, you know, when I was a kid in this sport, I didn't know much. I didn't know, and I hadn't experienced much in comparison to what I've experienced by this point in my life and career. So I had a very, very, very limited way of seeing, or even, identifying success. You um, Someone will see you and you work out and they'll say, "Hey, you work out. How much do you lift?" You're like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, you deadlift, squat? What particular exercise you talking?" "No, I mean, like, how much do you lift?" Like, oh, so here's a person that doesn't know better. They want to have a conversation with you about, training or the thing that obviously you must do that is interesting as hell to them, but because they know very little bit about what it is that they want to talk to you about.
That's true.
They end up having to just generally, well, how much do you lift? Damn, I'm sorry, sir. I don't know that there's an exercise called a squat that would. I want to be dazzled by the brilliance and the big numbers of what you can say. Show me, impress me. Tell me something impressive. Show me something impressive.
All
I'm
right.
impressed. I want to be impressed. Dazzle me. Um, and the only way we can kind of gauge our success, at least for me earlier in my career, was like, well, how much can I bench? how much can I squat? Every day I came to the gym, I wanted to lift heavier and do more. And when I saw the numbers grow, it didn't matter the quality of the rep or those things because I hadn't gotten to that place yet. The idea of just being able to boast of a number of weight that was going up, whether it's the weight on the bar, in the dumbbell, or on the scale when I stood on it, the way I measured my success was to see those numbers go up and up and up. And likewise, when you saw me, I measured my success or my ability to be successful with looking bigger and bigger and bigger. And the fans say, I want to see you big all the time. And if it should come to pass that after I've seen you look like this monstrous monument of molten muscle walking around, and now you seem deflated a little bit. It's not as awe-inspiring. I think it can be deflating. It's almost immediately associated with, oh wow,
Yeah,
you must not be
that's a
doing
lot of
this
pressure,
well. Your
man.
gains are down and there's
Yes,
something wrong. But when in actuality, that might be where you're supposed to be at that stage in your career. As
exactly.
I look around now, I see like the athletes that I've spent the lifetime looking up to, like
Right,
the
right.
Dexter Jacksons and the Ronnie Colemans, there was a time you saw these guys in real life and it was like unbelievable. It was just like something that even if you looked at the magazines every day and you cut the pictures out and you put them on your wall, nothing could prepare you for the absolute awe that you would come into contact with anytime you got a chance to see these guys in real life. They're just three-dimensionally going in every direction, front, back, sideways at the same time.
Yeah.
um,
What's the most you've benched, by the way?
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's almost frightening to even try to say. I think that I can recall yeah, I can recall getting ready for like the biggest shows of my career, and each year you grow. Each year you're growing. Each year your gains are, and sometimes you can hit these really really big moments of opportunity in your process. I have one, two, three, four, five plates on each side.
Wow.
And I grab the bar, and at some point after I've wrapped my left elbow and I'm in my own zone and the bar begins to move. And as it moves, there's this throatling roar that you begin to hear as the clanging of each of the 45
Right.
pound plates on each side are moving so fast that and it felt like as I moved that the bar could literally break in my hand, but it didn't break. It just bent really, really dramatically as it caused the weights to move even more violently, like an engine, like a locomotive, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I put the weight back on the rack and I must have gotten something like 12, 13, 14 reps.
Wow.
And once I put it on the rack, I remember pausing to myself and recognizing that I'm in a whole new place in my strength output. Somewhere I had crossed the line. I'm in a new time, unprecedented in my training. This is my work set. And the bar was moving so fast and it was so dramatically bent. I am strong in translation at that moment. And though you just had five plates on each side, you just got 13 reps and you pause to say to yourself, well, should I go up?
Wow. That's crazy, man. That's a lot of weight. All right, Kai. We are you ready to go into the lightning round of questions?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So these are the questions submitted by the loyal listeners. We have 3 questions that I selected.
Uh-oh.
And remember, Kai, this is a lightning round, all right? Try to.
I'm talking louder just because, I'm excited. Lightning
All
round.
right.
Let's go.
First question is from Soren9584. Can you ask Kai why he posed the way he did? The side chest, for example. He did it in a very unique way. I'm curious why he didn't flex his abs while hitting the side chest, but managed to have a very good midsection in the side tricep. Thank you. Do you know what he means?
If you're talking about the way I hit the side chest or a variation of a side chest, in 1999, um, it's going to be very different, I would imagine, than the way I would see my physique or myself as an athlete try to hit a side chest, when I'm 40 pounds heavier, at another time in my career, like let's say, after, let's say 2000, 2010,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've seen old photos of different athletes at different times in their career. And sometimes you can't even recognize that, oh, wow, is that Branch Warren? Branch, you know, was just looked like he gained 100 pounds about, you know what I mean? To go from where he was, you know, and now imagine you're doing those poses and everything because you only have your 8 mandatory poses and the variation poses, in between that, to show your physique. But structurally, if he doesn't get that much taller, over the years, over the next 20 years,
Right.
he's still doing the same poses. But I would imagine that as the weight distribution changes, the amount of muscle that he's had on his physique in between and on the surface, yeah, there's a lot of room for um, just having to re-understand the mechanism of movement and how to make it all work. It's just not the same pose. I think it's just not the same. We may call it
Right.
the same pose. We may call it the same physique, but there's all this room to appreciate growth, and a need to I guess to see the changes that would have to happen in order to do a pose of any type successfully.
All right. Let's go to the next one. So this one's from Brandon Perkins 176. Kai, I always have been intrigued by your mantra. Thoughts become things, and I followed it myself as you inspired me to be my own legend and inspiration in bodybuilding. Can you please elaborate? What is your mindset when you work out or competing? Keep up the good work, sir.
I think the mindset develops as a result of being clear about what the goal is. Um, Once we say that it is this is what I'm doing because it's important to me to do it, and by doing it, I'm able to accomplish A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Well, then it's yeah. But it may be different tomorrow. I may be using another way of looking at things to inspire the best in me. You know,
Last question we have. You're probably not gonna like this one, but we have to read it because we can't ignore the listeners, right?
ah,
So, but you're probably
the
gonna
disclaimer.
the disclaimer, yeah. You're probably gonna give us a very lightning, fast speed response. So, Brood 7007. Can Kai Greene talk about his experience first time he used PEDs and what they did for him, and his thoughts on how he felt starting them? It's actually that type of stuff you talk about in your documentary. Actually, I think we covered some of that stuff. But yeah, anyway, do you want to answer to Brood 7007?
Yeah, Brood 707. That is the last time I checked, the conversation about PEDs, particularly from a very real and personal perspective, is something that really shouldn't be taken lightly. I think those who know better understand that these are controlled substances that technically are illegal.
That's a good point, actually.
Mm.
Very good point. I don't know if people don't understand that, right? Like they want every single bodybuilder to talk about these things that are actually you can't even legally talk about, technically speaking. That's why I don't know how some of these people that get away with talking about it so openly, right? And then that's a huge responsibility,
It is a big, very big
you know.
responsibility. And technically, the champions of the golden era of the sport, um, with all that they knew and had to have experienced with the, the higher heights of their growth and development, there were conversations that really had to be handled and held, in the most responsible way possible. Because the truth is, when you're talking on a large platform and there's so many people that your message will be available to, it doesn't necessarily, it means that there are also going to be people within that everything you have to say may not be appropriate for their view. There are people that are 16, there are people that are very
Yeah.
impressionable, and that may be at the place and time in their life and career where the one thing that they need to hear that is the most encouraging and the most real value is that, yo, man, you are a limitless possibility. You know what I mean? Your ability. There are people that are wrestling with the question of, hey, man, so what does it mean to be an athlete? I will go on the record saying what it means to be an athlete does not mean that you have to subscribe to the life of taking PEDs. That's truth. That's not bullshit. That is true. And I want to also say in truth that one of the biggest benefits to the larger development that I could ever claim in my career to experience in my career and the life of what it means for me to be an athlete. I experienced when learning how to train, learning how to compete, and having the freedom to do that with the idea that everything that I needed to be doing when I was 14, when I was 15, when I was 16, 17, to develop my way into becoming what I thought was going to allow me to become the successful athlete that I aspired to be, only limited by my belief and willingness to work on creating that possibility. I had in my hand, and it did not mean that I had to have PED. So, as I was 16, thinking, hey, man, am I doing everything that I need to do right now? If I'm eating this meal like I'm supposed to, I'm resting like they say I need to, and I'm getting up in here and I'm really, really working on focus, getting my focus together, training like I'm a focused man, driven to get where, man, those were the things that I needed to do in order to unlock the unlimited potential that I could ever experience going forward. Tools are tools. And if you don't know how to control yourself and your thinking, then your ability to use other tools masterfully will not work. It will not work. This is not a situation where you're limited by your genetics or the drugs you can get. And if you don't got that, well, then you don't have much. Well, that person is defeated from the beginning.
Mm. Hmm.
You
Yeah.
tell me the athlete that's able to say, hey, man, I've learned how to work at this thing and manifest my thoughts into the creation of action steps that in time become the progressional realization of my ideas, my dreams, my vision forward. I've been the person that was, 130 pounds looking at it, wondering if I could ever grow to the proportions of being featured on the likes of the biggest bodybuilding magazines ever in the world of my sport. Was it possible? There was a time when I didn't know that it was possible. I
Mm.
questioned it, but I learned how to work. And in time, when I did enough of that work, I was able to see that no, it's not a question. It is a certainty. And that certainty did not depend on PEDs.
And there we have it. That was our lightning round.
Hey, there you go. Boom, lightning.
All right, Kai. Well, that's it for today. I mean, I think we covered some good topics today. Obviously, I want everybody to go on Spotify and check out the new album, man. I'm about to do that after this.
That's right. KI Afro King available on Spotify. I'm feeling really, really proud and thank you. Yo, Vlad, even thank you for even doing that. We didn't even we didn't come here to promote this
It's my
today
pleasure, man.
or
It's my
even
pleasure. I want everybody to check it out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. This is yeah, very, very thankful. This is there's a limitless potential that we all have. It's just And a lot of times your ability to actually step into it, it's not a question of your genetics. It's a question of your willingness to want it enough that you will just say you're going to do the work required to get there. Because eventually, when enough work has been done, you can.
I agree. And that's our wrap up for today. That was great. We'll cut right
Yo,
there.
that's what's up. Black man, I appreciate you,
Thank
man.
you so
This
much,
is
Kai. Thank you,
this
brother.
is definitely what's up.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Peace, brother.